Over the past year, Belgium's been seeing this massive surge in shootings and gang violence, and it's put the country right on the front line of Europe's drug crisis. With over 100 criminal networks operating there, it's gotten so bad that people are asking this really startling question. Is Belgium on the verge of becoming a narco-state? So let's get into it. And look, this isn't just some media hype. That's a direct warning from a senior judge in Antwerp, the city right at the heart of this whole crisis. That is a seriously chilling assessment, and it paints a picture of a system that's under extreme pressure, one that's struggling to protect its own people. So how on earth did it get to this point?
Well, it really all boils down to one number: 116 tons. I mean, that's the absolutely staggering amount of cocaine that was seized in the port of Antwerp in 2023 alone. A record-breaking haul that tells you a tidal wave of drugs is just flooding the country. To really get a grip on why Belgium is facing this crisis, we've got to rewind a few years. We need to look at a huge shift in global drug trafficking that basically turned the port of Antwerp into the brand new gateway for cocaine into Europe. Okay, so it really kicks off back in 2016. There's this peace deal with FARC guerrillas in Colombia, right? Well, that creates a huge power vacuum. Suddenly, cocaine production gets fragmented, which opens the door for European traffickers to start dealing directly with all these new, smaller suppliers. And at the exact same time, you've got security getting way tighter around the usual entry points like Spain and Portugal. Traffickers needed a new front door into the continent. And, well, they found their new front door in Antwerp.
Right, but why Antwerp? I mean, of all the ports in Europe, what makes this one specific Belgian city so appealing to some of the world's most powerful drug cartels?
Well, it really comes down to three key things. First off, its location. It's just perfect for distribution, with super easy connections across the whole continent. Second, you've got the sheer volume. We're talking millions of containers a year. Hiding drugs in there, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, literally. But maybe the biggest thing, the real game changer, is reason number 3. See, unlike a lot of modern, automated ports, Antwerp still relies heavily on actual people, and that just opens up huge opportunities for bribery and corruption. So, this tidal wave of drugs, yeah, it wasn't just a problem for customs at the port. It had absolutely devastating, violent consequences that spilled right out onto the streets of Belgium's biggest cities.
And to give you a sense of the scale here, it is just mind-boggling. In 2023, Belgium seized a total of 121 tons of cocaine. Now let's put that into perspective for a second. The entire United States seized only about 45 tons that same year. Think about that. A tiny country of 11 million people is seizing nearly 3 times more cocaine than a country of 330 million. It's just wild.
And all these drugs have fueled 2 very different kinds of war. In Antwerp, it's all about controlling the port. You see grenade attacks, arson, basically tactics to scare off rivals and get their shipments back. But then you go to Brussels, and oh man, it's a different story. It's devolved into this brutal open warfare on the streets, with more than 60 different gangs fighting over turf.
And this violence, it's escalating, and fast. Get this, in all of 2022, Brussels had 3 fatal shootings. Fast forward to just the start of 2024, and that number has already shot up to 9. It's tripled. This is not a slow burn, you guys. This is a flat-out, deadly explosion of violence. Okay, but here's the thing. This crisis isn't just about the drug cartels. It's also being supercharged by some really deep-seated problems inside Belgium's own systems, creating a perfect storm for organized crime to just flourish.
First up, you've got widespread corruption. And we're not talking about just a few bad apples here. These criminal networks have systematically worked their way into the port, into customs, even into the police force, using bribes and threats to get whatever they want.
Problem number 2, they are chronically underfunded. I mean, law enforcement, the courts, they're just completely outgunned. They just don't have the investigators, they don't have the money to fight back against these incredibly rich and powerful criminal groups.
And that brings us to the third big problem: Belgium's famously complicated political system. Power is split up across all these different layers of government, and their responsibilities often overlap. All this fragmentation makes a strong, coordinated response almost impossible. And that chaos? Well, it's the perfect environment for these drug networks to thrive. Just think about this one number, 6. That's how many different police zones there are just in the city of Brussels alone. They can barely coordinate with each other. And all those gaps and inefficiencies, they're basically a gift-wrapped present for organized crime. It's the perfect example of a divided system trying to fight a unified threat. So, with this crisis just spiraling out of control, the Belgian government is trying to fight back, declaring a new war on drugs. But the big question for everyone is it too little, too late? So, their counteroffensive has a few main parts. They've pledged a zero-tolerance policy. They're finally planning to merge those 6 separate police forces in Brussels, though not until 2027. They're sharing more intel with the US, and they've even floated the really controversial idea of putting soldiers on the streets. But, and this is a big but, here's the grim reality. Even with all these new plans, all this tough talk, the violence hasn't slowed down one bit. In fact, it's still getting worse. And this right here reveals a really startling paradox. So listen to this. In just the first 4 months of this year, police have arrested more people in the Antwerp port than they did in all of last year. So yeah, enforcement is way up. But the fact that there are so many more people to arrest, well, that just proves the problem itself is still growing, and fast. And this threat, it's not just contained to the criminal world anymore. The top prosecutor in Brussels put it pretty bluntly recently, saying, everyone in the city is at risk. The violence is so widespread now, it's a direct threat to everybody. Which really leaves us with this one final massive question. On one side, you have these drug networks. They're unified, they're global, and they are ruthlessly efficient. And on the other side, you have Belgium, a country struggling with its own internal divisions, corruption, and a political system that's a mess. It's an incredibly tough fight, and honestly, the future of the country's safety really does hang in the balance.